Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of CampusCare EdTalks. EdTalks is a platform where educators and leaders come on board and express their viewpoints related to education and society. Our topic for the discussion is: are the new trends in education actually making a difference? And to express her viewpoints on the same, we have with us Miss V. N. Chakravarti, ma'am, Principal of Pragati Central School, Hyderabad. A very warm welcome, ma'am.
Namaste.
How are you doing, ma'am? It's so good to have you here.
I'm doing very well, Meher. Thank you so much. And thanks for this opportunity as well.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We are so honored to have you here. So let's start off with the session, ma'am, shall we?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So, ma'am, when we talk about the, latest trends in the education, so after the pandemic, it was, the pandemic gave rise to many trends in education. But do you think there, first of all, would you like to, tell the audience what the new trends that we are talking about here? And do you think they are here to stay or it's just a fad?
Well, I think, yes, the pandemic has brought in new tools of learning fundamentally. I think many schools in India perhaps would have done in the next 10 years or after 10 years. I think we kind of rolled everything into, one big learning episode. And we were particularly, I think, forced to take it during this COVID time. The COVID scenarios, the lockdown situations made all of us, rise up to learn these online tools. Otherwise, I think we would have still been a little slower in learning. Though all schools or many schools today have online learning platforms. When I say online, it's not particularly the synchronous online. I'm talking about, digitized platforms of learning. So many schools today have, this audio-visual facility. That kind of infrastructure has always been there for the last at least 8 to 10 years in many schools. But, this new trend of learning has given, the sign off after this COVID lockdown has begun. Because there was no way for children to come to school. There was no way for physical interactions. So I think, everybody had to rise up, come out of the comfort zones, learn these online tools, and contribute towards this teaching learning, during this lockdown time. So one way I think it is definitely refreshing for children, because the new age children or the present children, I think they are so much used to digitized type of learning. And so far, before the COVID, it was more of conventional methods, and shift into these online and digitized learning methods, I think is more a refresher, particularly for children, because that is the best way they are enjoying to learn.
Yeah.
Having said that, I think if you look at it, even in you would have noticed in our own homes, whether it is children or even adults, we are also technology driven. We are also remote driven. So even while watching a television program, if we have some ads in between, we are not willing to wait for the ads to conclude. We want to turn on to another channel to see what's happening there. So I think both adults and children somewhere have become impatient. Attention span has become less. So in a scenario like this, unless the teaching methods are interesting, I think children will not find it encouraging to learn. Point number one. Two is, unless the children are given the room to learn through innovative methods which they are getting used to, I think learning cannot be complete. So there are a lot of online tools that have come out, whether it is through videos, through podcasts, or even if you look at the gamification that is happening, teaching through a lot of games. There are a lot of online games available for children to learn the concepts as well. So all of this has taken a big shift into the learning methods now. And though we have now started the physical classes, I think many schools are still continuing to have the flipped methods or blended methods, and they are trying to look at utilizing these digital platforms alongside the physical setting. So this is definitely going to stay. It's not just going to stay. I think the technology and digitized methods are going to engulf the entire world. Okay, we are just at the beginning. We are looking at, in the next couple of years, technology and digital platforms are going to engulf the entire learning systems. And unless, we start getting adapted, I don't think it will be, I think it is going to be a threat for all of us, both students and, the teachers. So Mehak, it's not a fad. It is going to stay, and it's going to, stay stronger.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So, as you just mentioned, that during the pandemic, online classes become a necessity for the students. It was very important for all the students and the teacher as well, and it is here to stay, as you just mentioned. So, moving forward, are these trends, are actually contributing in any way to the development of the students? How do you see it?
Well, in numerous ways. See, when we come out of our comfort zone, and we try to understand what methods are going to help the children. I think we as educators, initially during the lockdown time, it was a little difficult for us to come out of our conventional methods and shift into these, online teaching platforms or digitized teaching platforms. But I think by and by, as we start experiencing the results that we see today, I think it has become, even more evident that we are beginning to understand that children will learn better, through these kind of platforms, because that is how they have been learning even before they come to school. They're all with mobile phones and with video games. So I think, that is the best way that children are going to learn. Having said that, I think in moderate amounts of both, conventional methods as well as the digital learning methods will definitely help kids.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So moving forward, what are some of the promising techniques of education that you came across recently and you do use to make students learn better?
Well, if you look at the techniques, if you look at the NEP 2020, it is more focusing towards competency-based learning. Okay, they're also looking at reducing the syllabus and making it more conceptual-driven, competency-based. So, teaching children through fragmented teaching. For example, not trying to cover a larger chunk of syllabus or portion at one time, but to divide it into parts. Okay, divide it into smaller units. Okay, because when we look at the attention span of children, like we discussed before, it has taken a very big toll. Children are not able to focus for longer periods of time, which means to say that children cannot learn for a longer period, given the scenario at that one point in time. So it has become now mandatory for us as educators to, go for fragmented or, small portion-based teaching methods. So instead of trying to cover the entire unit or the lesson at one time, dividing it into small fragments, making it more child-friendly, doing it through methods like, games, through videos, through podcasts, and also, through different other techniques of even whether it's even offline games also, once the children come to school, teaching them through games, through puzzles. I think that is definitely going to help children enjoy the experience of learning. We all know that there are many styles of learning, right? Now, if there are many learning styles, there also have to be many teaching styles. We cannot say that children today are learning better through technology. And if we are not going to adapt to technology and still continue with our own, chalk, talk, and board methods, it is not going to reach out to the children. So all educators across must level up, must step up, and ensure that all of us here learn these teaching techniques, in the best interest of the students. So I think, everything that we are doing today, I think if we have to go and talk a little more technology driven, we call it nano learning. That means giving it in small chunks, right? That is going to help children best. It is not only going to help them understand, but the retention in terms of memory is going to also be better. That is one thing. And today you also have tools like adaptive learning platforms, as in, it's more customized through artificial intelligence. So, for example, there is an assessment that is going to be conducted. Okay, you answer the first question, which relates to a simple question, and you're able to answer it correctly. Then it takes you to the next level of difficulty, then a next level of difficulty, so on and so forth. The level of difficulty increases, with each question, depending on whether you're able to answer the previous question. So I think these adaptive learning methods are also helping children understand where they are, okay, where they have to work better. And similar worksheets are also being generated, using this artificial intelligence platforms, similar worksheets, because if I have not understood question number 3, 4, 5, well, and if I could not answer those 3 questions well, that means my concept in that particular, chapter at that particular level, is not clear. And so how do you do better? How can you do better? I think, these are all adaptive learning platforms which are going to help the children. And it is going to look at directing the children towards a lot of, self-learning, pattern. Because me as a student in a class of 30, if I'm not able to answer this, I'm going to get generated through my system, questions that relate to that, understanding that relates to that. And it helps me in a very self-directed learning, approach. I think all of these are going to help children in immense ways. So I cannot per se say there is just one technique or two techniques. Anything that is technology driven today, I think is going to help children, because children learn best through technology, at least this generation of children.
Yeah.
Right?
Very well said, ma'am. This generation learns through technology only. So you just mentioned that we have to adapt, to these latest techniques. So moving forward, what if someone, doesn't adapt to these trends? So do you think there's a harm, there's an, disadvantage?
Yeah, I think, it's very, very obvious.
Yeah.
If we do not, for example, when we had to shift from, the conventional methods to these, technology driven methods during the lockdown, if we had teachers who said, I cannot learn and it is not possible, obviously we had to ask them to take a break and come back again and learn it maybe, at a little slower pace. So if we are going to look at producing children today into a generation of, very, very self-skilled and very employable people, obviously, we have to look at rising up to the challenge and teaching children also to do so. Otherwise, I think, they're not going to have good employment opportunities as well. Similarly, even in schools, if we do not adapt, okay, and if we do not stay adept, then definitely we are going to lose opportunities. So having said that, the only thing that we can do as educators today, in schools, is teach children the way they can learn better, adapt to skill sets that will enable better learning for children. Otherwise, anything that cannot be upskilled, or you have a hesitation to upskill, I think will lead to extinction, right? So either we upskill, or we get extinct. So it is, there are no two ways about it. We have to get upskilled, we have to upscale, and we have to give our best to the student community.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being here today. It was, a very wonderful session with you. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you and best of luck.
Thank you, ma'am. And for all the viewers watching us out, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more stuff like this. Thank you, ma'am. Have a good day.